one solution for every problem in the world, what could it be? Better laws, better constitution, or better government? What is the one solution for every problem in that is adhyatma, spirituality. Now, a lot of people think that spirituality is jhad phuk, black magic, tantra vantra. Even I used to think that, but it's far from that. Adhyatma is the most important and the most useful thing in the history of humanity to solve all the problems that had occurred through humanity, through history, and that is still present. All the problems can be solved through adhyatma, spirituality. All the other things like armies, money, country, and cultural system, etc. All these things are temporary solutions for the present problems. But as we know, these temporary measures, because they are temporary, they don't work. They have time limits, and when the time limits runs out, everything goes in the gutter. So adhyatma is this permanent solution for every problem in this world. Throughout history, most of the population didn't even know about what adhyatma is. Even in the present day, us human still think that adhyatma is something like jhad phuk and black magic and praying to a god, imaginary god, etc., etc. But no, adhyatma is far from that. And I am not saying the other temporary solutions like laws implementing the constitution, governments, societal structure, all these are like completely useless. No, they are useful, but for only top 30% of rich humans. Other 70% humans don't even have reasonable resources for survival. You can Google it. 70% of humanity do not have reasonable resources for survival. So this system full of temporary solutions only works for 30% of humanity, and even that at temporary level. When climate change occurs, even the 30% of humanity will suffer. That is why I'm saying this solution for 30% of human is temporary for them too. And forget about the rest 70%. This solution do not work from them right now. Well, for the 30%, it is working right now, but it will end when climate change occurs, when the race of humanity is leading to extinction. At that point, even 30% will be in the gutter. But right now, 70% of humans are facing the problems of climate change that 30% of human will face when the climate change will occur. Right now, 70% population of humans are facing the exact thing that the top 30% will face in future because of climate change. That's how our current system, our current societal, our current government, our current law system is treating us humans, 70% of humans. So a system only works when it provides survival resources for everyone that is part of that system. So 100% of population should be provided reasonable resources, then only that system is successful. More than half, 70% of people do not have these resources, and 30% will lose these resources due to climate change. Like only about maybe only about top 1% of richest human maybe have survival resources even when climate change is there, but that too is far-fetched possibility. So this system is leading us humans to destruction. In future, this system will destroy us, and right now it is only working for about 30% of human population. Now let's say this system works. This system provides everyone with reasonable resources for survival, even though it is not possible. But let's imagine, for the sake of understanding, let's say the system works. Will it end the human suffering? Will it end inner restlessness? Will it end anger? Will it end fear? Will it end anxiousness? Will it end nervousness? Will it end guilt? Will it end envy? Will this system end all these emotions related to suffering? That's the biggest question. Even if this system provides reasonable resources to 100% of human population, will this system end human suffering? No, it can't. This system is based on selfishness. I will be selfish, you will be selfish. But don't interfere with my selfish, and I will not interfere with your selfish. And this system works perfectly. Even though it is not possible in the real life, my selfish will interfere with your selfish. But let's assume Both of our interest, selfish interest, are not intersecting others, and everybody is living their own selfish lives. Will that selfish way of living, will that selfish way of society, perfect selfish way of society, end human suffering? No, because selfishness itself is the core reason of human suffering. So how can a selfish society work if selfishness itself is the core reason of suffering? And don't even imagine that selfish society will work. See around you, see your society. Is it working? This is selfish society as of right now. We are living in a selfish society. Everybody is selfish. See around you, go outside, go talk to a street vendor, go talk to a sabji wala, go talk to a woman, go talk to a child, go talk to a male working in job, working on business, go talk to anyone. Is this system working right now? Because it is impossible to work. Selfish people, selfish society is impossible to work, because all the problems of the world exist only because of human suffering. World hunger, climate change, and income inequality, murder, rape, all these problems comes from this innate suffering of humans. And what is the core reason of this suffering? Selfishness. And right now, how is this system based? It is based on selfishness. So is it possible at all for this selfish system to have no problems? It is inevitable. If there is suffering, there is problem. So it is inevitable that if the society is selfish, there will be problems, outside problems like resources problems and conflict problems, human conflict, fighting, murdering, rape, all that problems, and inner problem, inner suffering problem of humans. Both these problems cannot be solved by the current system, by the current selfish system, by the current selfish society. It can never be solved, both of these problems, because selfishness breeds suffering and suffering breeds problem. Both of these are interlinked. So if only human suffering ends, like the inner restlessness, inner emptiness, and all the sadness, emotions, anger, guilt, all these things ends, then all the outside problems also ends automatically. So the core mission of all humanity should be to end human suffering. We are going outside and looking outside to solve all these problems. How will we provide resources? How will we change climate change, or etc., etc.? How will we stop murder? All these things. How will we stop discrimination, caste discrimination? Well, all these looking outside will give us half-assed temporary solutions. We are looking for solution outside of ourselves, which should be opposite. If we look inside of ourselves, all the outside problems will automatically be solved. But what we are doing instead is looking outside to solve inside problems. We are looking outside to solve the inner suffering of humans. It should be we are solving inner suffering so that outside problems get solved. And this is where adhyatma comes. What is adhyatma? Adhyatma is basically solving the inner problem, which is the human suffering. And if inner problem is solved, outer problem will be solved automatically, as we have discussed. So, how does Adhyatma solve the inner problem? It basically makes you unselfish, because being selfish is falseness and being unselfish is the truth. How being unselfish is truth? Basically, when you identify as the body or mind, or you identify as anything, you go and do things for that identity. Like you identify as a student or a human being or a father, mother, anything, you go and protect that identity of yours. You try to improve that identity, so you are being selfish for that identity. Like if for example I want money, so you are being selfish. You go and earn money for yourself because you have identity of human being who needs resources, which is money. So why is this false? Why all these identities are false? Because you do not exist as an individual self. You have taken identity of a student or anything, of even human body, human being. You are not that. Why? Because all these things are conditioned by societal or evolution. The human body is conditioned by evolution, and all the identities like student and father was given to you by society. So there is no you who exists outside of conditioning. You think you are a student, but no, you are not. This thought was put into you by society. You have no control over any of your thought, any of your actions. So hence, you do not exist. All that exists is nature, conditioning. So Adhyatma tells us that the truth is you don't exist, and if you are being selfish, you are living in falseness and you are also suffering. Selfishness equal to suffering. So Adhyatma tells us that if you are not selfish and you are living in the truth, that you know that you do not exist, all that exists is conditioning. So there will be no suffering inside you. And hence, when you know you don't exist, you are unselfish. And if you are unselfish, there is no suffering. And if there is no suffering, there is no problems in the world. So in summary, Adhyatma gives you the truth, and truth makes you unselfish, and being unselfish destroys suffering, and with the destruction of suffering, the destruction of all the outside problems also occurs. Now the question in your mind would be, how does selfishness causes suffering? Because a very horrid design, a very trash design by evolution was installed in us humans, which is called wanting more, and in scientific terms it is called adaptation. Us human want something, we get something, but that satisfaction of getting that only stays for about few minutes or few moments. As soon as the satisfaction ends, we strive for more, and that striving for more creates more consumption, and that more consumption causes all the problems in the world that is right now, like climate change and like income inequality, everything. The top 1% of the richest person have more money than the combined 80 to 90% of whole human population. So you see how this design of wanting more creates this big of income inequality. The top rich 1% wanted so much, and they got also that they have more than 90% of the bottom human population. And it's not like that the bottom 90% does not want more. They also want more, but the only difference is they don't get more. The top 1% gets what they want, they get more, but the bottom does not. But even then, the top 1% still strives for more. Why? Because the want for more never ends. It leaves both the top 1% and the top bottom 90% unsatisfied. Even if you get more, you will want more, and even if you don't get more, you will still want more. So in both the cases, the want for more never ends. Both the top 1% and the bottom 90% both suffer equally because of this need for wanting more. But the only difference is the bottom one dies while suffering, and the top rich 1% or the top 30%, you could say, dies while being comfortably in their bed. So the point is, if you want something for yourself, you are selfish, be it anything. If you want anything for yourself, you are suffering. And if you want something for yourself, you would want more, which creates inner emptiness. You will never be fulfilled, which creates suffering, which also create all other kind of emotion, anger, sadness, depression, everything. So this curse of wanting more, which is designed by evolution in us humans, can only be ended when people are adhyatmic, because only adhyatma can destroy this innate characteristic of wanting more, the innate characteristic of selfishness. Because if you are selfish, you will want more, but if you realize that there is no self, then you will also realize there is no need to be selfish. And if you realize there is no need to be selfish, the want for more ends, and hence there is no inner emptiness, and hence there is no suffering, and hence there is no problem in the world. Well, this might have gotten a little bit complicated, so to simplify it, you are selfish. Selfishness craves you to want more. The craving of wanting more creates suffering. From that suffering arises all the problems of the world. And when Adhyatma comes, Adhyatma tells you that you do not exist. I will not go into detail of why you don't exist. I have already explained you why. So it tells you you don't exist, and if you don't exist, for whom you are being selfish. And when you realize all your selfishness is falseness, you will stop being selfish. You will stop chasing more. You will stop wanting more. Hence, your suffering will end. Hence, all the problem that comes with suffering will end. No wars, no conflicts, no climate change, no crimes, and everyone gets reasonable survival resources. So this is what self-knowledge, adhyatma, adhya meaning knowledge, atma meaning self, self-knowledge. This is what self-knowledge does. It creates an ideal world. It creates an ideal peaceful world. And not only it will be a peaceful world for us, it will be a peaceful world for animals too. No one will kill animal, no one will eat them for pleasure and all that things. So all the animals and all the human will live in a peaceful world, all because of self knowledge. So don't you see the greatness of adhyatma, self knowledge? Don't you know why all these past saints like Kabir Sahab, Swami Vivekanand, Bhagat Singh, and everyone who fought and were spreading the message of self knowledge were ready to give their life, and some even gave their life? Why don't you think that this is the most important thing in the world? Why? Because this is the only thing that can solve your suffering, and from the destruction of your suffering, all the other problems of the world will cease to exist. So why can't you see that adhyatma is the only way? Adhyatma is the most important thing in the world, and that is what I am here for. I made all these videos. I made this YouTube channel only to spread the message of adhyatma, because this is the only thing that can bring the truth, that can end the suffering, that can make the ideal peaceful world. And all those advocates for self knowledge knew that the world suffering can only be ended, and the world can only achieve peace through self knowledge, through adhyatma. Gautam Buddha, Kabir Sahib, Ashtavakra, Swami Vivekanand, Osho, Jiddu Krishnamurti, and currently right now Acharya Prashant, and many more people of the past who advocated for self knowledge knew how important it is for us humans to know about adhyatma, to know about the self. And not only the people of India, the saints of India, outside philosophers and outside thinkers, foreign thinkers also accepted that there is no knowledge bigger than adhyatma, Vedanta, self knowledge. There is no knowledge bigger than this. So, adhyatma, self knowledge, is the one and only thing that can solve every problem of the world.